Good morning, children. How are you all? I hope all are fine. So, today we will start CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. It is related to HTML. It is a part of HTML. How you can format your web page by giving different styles. So, first, before starting CSS, last class, whatever we have explained, I have explained you, I will recall. Last class, what I have already explained you. So first I will recall you the previous classes lesson, then I will start CSS, Cascading Style Sheet. So last class we have done table tag, and table tag one attribute is frame attribute. It is used with table tag. Why we use frame attribute? Suppose your table is having no rows or columns, that time we use frame attribute. This attribute specify which part of the table borders will be visible. For that reason, suppose in a table some parts of the table border should not, you don't want to display, that time we use frame attribute. So hence the frame attribute will be used with the border attribute. It is used with table border attribute, frame border is used. This is used along with border attribute. The frame attribute allows us to set portions of the border will display, and there are values you can specify for frame attribute. So these are the values you can specify with frame attribute. Void outside borders are only shown. Suppose you will give void attribute along with border attribute, only outside borders can be shown. Above, it will display top edge of the border is shown. Below, bottom, suppose you will give below along with the border attribute, only bottom edge border is shown. Edge sides, top and bottom edges of the border are shown. Edge side. Next, LHS, left hand side, only displays left edge only. RHS, it displays only right edges of the border is shown. V sides, displays left and right both the borders, both the edges of the borders are shown. Box, all edges are shown on four sides. Borders, all edges are shown in all four sides. So total frame attribute of table is always used with border attribute. The frame attribute defines the position of the border. So these are the values of the frame attribute you can apply. Now this one example also I have written using frame attribute. You can write down this example. I have given HTML title given, then border equal to frame void 1 2 3 4 4 data has been given, table border equal to 2, frame equal to box. So two type of attribute has been used, void and box. Now you can see the output. This is void. Void means what? Displays no border. Here no border is there. And frame is box. I have given box. Box displays all four borders. It displays all four borders. So this is the frame attribute. Next I have told you about rules attribute. This attribute also used with table tag and along with the border. This attribute also works with border attribute of the table tag. The rules attribute defines which lines or rules drawn between the rows and columns in your table. So basic difference between frame and rules attribute is that frame attribute is used to display specific outer portion of the table border, while rules attribute is used to display specific inside portion of a table border. The values specified for rules attribute are shown here. None, no rules or its sides, all interior borders only. Groups, rules are drawn between row groups and column groups. Rows rules are drawn between rows only. Columns rules are drawn between columns only. All rules are drawn between all rows and all columns. So these are the values of rules attribute. Now one example we have written using a rules attribute. You will give same table title, then you will give border equal to 2, rules equal to groups. You have given one value, then 1 2 3 4, like this data has been given. See the output. Rules equal to groups, all the data has been grouped together, and here rules equal to rows, all the data came in row. So one more example we have done using height and width. Same, you will give border, height equal to 80%, width equal to, then you will give the data and you can see the output. Height and width, align equal to left alignment and align equal to right alignment. We have given alignment also, align left and right. All the text will come in left and right. Here we have given only align right. All the text will come in right. So all those things we have discussed in next class. So today's class we will discuss CSS. Now we will discuss about CSS. CSS, cascading style sheet, styling HTML with CSS. We will design the HTML with CSS. So CSS stands for cascading style sheets. So how to design the coding with CSS? CSS describes how the HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper or any other media. So it describes how all the elements can be displayed on screen, how you can design the element. CSS saves lots of work. It can control the multiple it can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. Layout means design. So CSS saves lots of work. It controls the design or layout of multiple web page all at once. So I have told you CSS stands for cascading style sheet. It is used with HTML. CSS describe how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper and other media. It saves lot of work. It controls the layout of multiple web pages all at once. CSS are collection of formatting rules that control the appearance of a content in a web page. So a style sheet is made up of style rules that tell the browser how to present a document. Now CSS can be added to HTML element in three ways. It can be added to HTML element in three ways: inline, external and internal. Inline, by using the style attribute in HTML elements. External, by using an external CSS file from outside. Next, internal, by using a style element in the head section. By using a style element in the head section. So inline means you can using the style attribute in HTML element only, internal by using a style element in head section only, and external by using an external file. So CSS can be added in three ways: inline, external and internal. Now the most common way to add CSS is to keep the style in separate CSS files. However, here we will use inline and internal styling because this is easier to demonstrate and easier for you to try for yourself. Now first in an inline CSS. Inline CSS is used to apply a unique style to a single HTML element. An inline CSS uses styles attribute of an HTML element. It uses a style attribute of an HTML element. Now the following example sets the text color of the H1 element to be blue. So I have written one example using inline element. Inline means inside the HTML coding and heading. So H1 element to be blue. we can see one program using inline attribute heading only. HTML head style, then body background color powder blue, then H1 heading color equal to blue, and paragraph color equal to red. Then style close, because I have given style only in heading part, H1 color equal to blue. Then style close, then head close, body open, you can write anything inside body close, HTML. So this is the style element. It is used with CSS, and a style sheet is made up of style rules that tell a browser how to present a document. This style sheet is made up of a style rules. Lots of rules are there, and each style rule is made up of a selector, usually HTML elements such as body, paragraph, then head, all are applied to the selector. There are numerous properties that may be defined for an. Next, internal CSS. Internal CSS is used to define style for a single HTML page. So it is used to define styles for a single HTML page, and internal CSS is defined in the head section of the HTML page with the style element. So one program we have written, HTML head, the same program, that one we have written, that is also, that is for internal. So how you can link this program using inline style sheet. Next is external CSS. An external style sheet is used to define the style sheet for many HTML pages. When an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing one file. External style sheet is used to define style from many HTML pages. Here you have to write the coding in separate text file, then you have to merge the file with HTML page. So you have to make two files. With an external style sheet, you can change in the look of an entire website by changing one file. To use external style sheet, add a link to the head section of the HTML page. So to use that external sheet, you can add a link to the HTML page. So in external style sheet, you have to write the coding in separate text editor. Then you have to give the file name extension .css. Then you have to merge this file with the HTML file. We can see one example using external CSS. So an external style sheet can be written in any text editor. You can write in Notepad or WordPad, any text editor. The file must not contain any HTML code and must be saved with the CSS extension. The file So the file must not contain any HTML code, must be saved with CSS extension. So CSS file name extension is .css. When you will create a CSS file, you will create in some of the text editor, and you will give the file name extension .css. Here how the style .css looks: body background color powder blue, then curly bracket H1 color blue PP. So this type of thing, example, you can give in CSS file name. So today we have discussed about CSS, external, internal coding. So let's revise whatever we have discussed today. So styling HTML with CSS. CSS stands for cascading style sheet. CSS describes. It is used to style give different styles to your HTML web page. Suppose you have given, but if you want to give more attractive look, you must have seen in web page and website the pages are different. So you can use CSS. CSS stand for cascading style sheet. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, or in other media. CSS saves a lots of work. It can control the layout of multiple web page all at once. CSS can be added to HTML elements in three ways: inline, external, internal. So using the style attribute in HTML element, using the external CSS file, using the style element in head section. The most common ways to add CSS is to keep styles in separate CSS file and give the file name extension .css. We will use inline and internal styling. So inline style, it is used to apply unique style using HTML element. Inline CSS style attribute of HTML element. I have given one example. You can write down this example and see the output. Next, internal. Internal CSS is used to define a style for a single HTML page. Internal CSS is defined in the head section of the HTML. One example has been given. You can try that example. Next, external CSS. External style sheet is used to define styles for many HTML pages. With an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire web page by changing one file. To external style sheet, you have to link in the head section. So one program has been written. You can write down the programs and you can try this programs. So that's all for today's class. So thank you. With more attributes of style sheets and more programs of HTML and all, next class I will tell you about how you can merge both the files, how you can link with the files. So see you in next class. Thank you. Stay home and stay safe.